Hello and welcome everyone on this official platform of Legacy IS Academy. So today in this session we are going to discuss the most important issue, are divisions in the European Union deepening over Israel. So this is the headlines in the newspaper. So let me tell you, the house divided cannot stand. But what happens when that house is the European Union, one of the world's most powerful political bloc? And the cracks are forming over the most volatile conflict of our time. So right now, as bombs fall in Gaza and nuclear fears rise in Iran, the 27 countries of European Union, they are not speaking in one voice. Some are condemning Israel's action as human rights violation. Others are backing Israel's right to defend itself, even when it strikes deep inside Iran. A leaked European Union report calls Israel's action a moral as well as methodological failure. And in this scenario, Israel calls the report a disgrace. And the West is rattled. Allies are clashing. And the world is watching. But why is Europe so deeply divided? What's at stake for the European Union, for Israel, for the Middle East, and for all of us? So in this video, we are going to decode the full story layer by layer. We will unpack what report says, which countries are on which side, and why or what this growing divide could mean for the international law, global peace, and for the future of Europe itself. So stay with me, because what you are about to discover is not just a policy rift. It is a geopolitical earthquake in the making, and it might just change how the next global conflict unfolds. So the title of this video is, are divisions in the European Union deepening over Israel? So let me tell you, yes, European Union countries are increasingly divided over how to deal with Israel's action in Gaza as well as in Iran. So what's happening in the European Union? So let's see what is happening in European Union. So let me tell you that European Union is split over how to respond Israel's war in Gaza as well as recent attack on Iran. And a new European Union report obtained by Reuters, they claim that Israel is violating human rights in Gaza as well as on the West Bank. And they call Israel's conduct a moral and methodological failure. Now, ये जो report आई है सामने, this report was shared with the European Union leaders also before their foreign minister meeting today itself, Monday. Now, how did Israel react? अब इस पर Israel का reaction कैसा आया? So let me tell you, Israel's foreign ministry, they have rejected the report completely. They called it as a complete moral as well as methodological failure. And they also claimed that it was based on the wrong facts and did not understand Israel's security challenges. तो ये claim है किसका? Israel का. Now, which countries are on which side? This we need to understand. As you can see here, this is there in the editorial. Which countries are on which side? Now, the countries who are critical of Israel. So let me tell you, who are those countries who are critical of Israel? So as you can see, Netherlands, as you can see here, Netherlands, Spain, Belgium and Sweden, they push for punitive action. Others, Germany, Hungary, Austria, they resist, citing strategic ties. Okay, this is the division. So Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, they want punitive action, possibly sanctions or trade restrictions with Israel. They are also supporting investigation, human rights violation in Gaza region. Now, there are countries who are supporting Israel, Germany, Hungary, Austria, these countries, and they cite the historical responsibilities, strategic partnership as well as political caution here, है ना? So that is why the division is becoming more severe in European Union over how the bloc is reacting to Israel's operation in Iran also. So they are also resisting harsh action. Now Germany, है ना, all these countries, Hungary and Austria, they resist harsh action against Israel. Now what is human rights report? So let's try to understand the reports of human rights. So as you can see here, earlier this year, the European Commission, they started investigating whether Israel breached human rights obligations under the EU-Israel Association Agreement or not. Now what are the report findings? Now the report findings have become one of the most controversial foreign policy issues in European Union. So that is why today, इनका नाम है काजा कलास. Now today Kaja Kalas, European Union's High Representative for Foreign Affairs, she will represent the findings to the ministers, है ना? Now based on that, what could European Union do next? So based on this, what could European Union do next? So let me tell you, based on this, European Union is considering for actions. Now what kind of actions? Do nothing, limit trade with Israel, or suspend EU-Israel agreement. These three things. Do nothing or limiting the trade with Israel, है ना? Or just let it be, है ना? ऐसा चलने दो, है ना? Or suspend the EU-Israel agreement. But any action, अगर कोई भी यूरोपियन यूनियन में कोई भी एक्शन लेना है, so what is the eligibility? Any action requires all 27 European Union countries to agree, which is very unlikely because of the divisions inside the European Union. Now what about Iran? अब ईरान का इन सब चीजों में क्या है? So let me tell you that after Israel attacked 3 nuclear sites in Iran, the European Union, they made a statement. What was the statement? So let me tell you, they called on all sides to follow the international law as well as avoid actions that might cause a radioactive release. So there was disagreement inside the European Union about including the line. Now what is that disagreement regarding the line? That Israel has a right to defend itself. And 15 countries wanted to include this line. 15 countries चाहती हैं कि इस लाइन को इंक्लूड किया जाए, that Israel has a right to defend itself, है ना? 15 countries of European Union want this, like Austria, है ना? Czech, France, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Netherlands, etc. But other countries, they refuse, so this line was not added. Clear? Now what does international law say? Now what about international law then? So let me tell you, according to the United Nations Charter, a country can defend itself if there is an armed or imminent attack. ये कहता है UN का charter. But the response must be proportionate. So it is still unclear whether Israel's action in Iran qualify as legal self-defense or not. Okay. So overall we can see in this editorial that the European Union is clearly divided on how to deal with Israel's military actions in Gaza, its attack on Iran, human rights violation. So with no consensus among the 27 countries of European Union, it is uncertain if EU will take any strong action or united action or not. So this division in European Union over the Israel's action can have serious as well as long-term impacts, both within the European Union also as well as on the global geopolitical front. So what can be the impacts of this? So let me tell you, this represents like weakening of EU foreign policy unity. First impact, weakening of EU foreign policy unity. है ना? Now try to understand. Now European Union functions on consensus, and if 27 member states are divided, then European Union cannot take strong action. Okay. Now this disunity shows that European Union is not able to act as a powerful or a unified global player. And it also weakens the European Union credibility when it speaks on human rights, international law or peace. You know? Then apart from this, another impact, strained EU-Israel relations. Now how? So let's try to understand. If countries like Spain, Belgium and Sweden, they continue pushing for these sanctions on trade restrictions and Israel, so Israel may respond by downgrading the diplomatic ties, cutting the cooperation in the sectors like technology as well as defense. But countries like Germany and Austria, who support Israel, they may try to block any harsh measures, causing further tension within the European Union itself. Now, the third impact could be geopolitical fallout. Now, geopolitical fallout in West Asia. Now, geopolitical fallout in West Asia. So, let's try to understand. See, European Union's lack of clear stance, it may embolden Israel to continue operations without the fear of European backlash. Then second important thing, it may also frustrate Arab nations and regional powers who expect that European Union to hold Israel accountable. And this could reduce the European Union's influence in West Asia, especially compared to the players like Russia, China or the United States of America. Then fourth impact could be undermining international law. Now how undermining international law? So let me tell you, if the European Union fails to respond clearly to potential violations of human rights or international law by Israel, then it is going to set a bad precedent that powerful allies may act with impunity. And other countries might also begin to ignore the United Nations norms, citing EU selective silence. Then it will also have impact on EU's internal politics. Internal politics. How? Now, these foreign policy splits could worsen the ideological divides within the Europe. Right-wing or the nationalist governments like Hungary tend to support the Israel. Left-leaning or human rights, they focused like left-leaning government, Spain, Belgium, they tend to criticize the Israel. Now, this agreement within the European Union could also spill into other areas of cooperations, like migration policy or defense and security strategy, trade agreements, then stalling of EU-Israel agreement. So these things are there. Then apart from this, another impact could be strained relations between EU and Israel. Now how? Now try to understand that the European Union-Israel Association Agreement, which governs trade and cooperation, it may come under the pressure. If even a few countries push for review or suspension or sanctions, it will create uncertainty for the businesses as well as diplomats. So even the talk of suspension, it can hurt long-term investment as well as cooperation. Another impact could be it can damage the peace efforts. It can damage the peace efforts. Kaise? European Union has traditionally supported a two-state solution as well as peace negotiation in Israel. But with the member states who are pulling in opposite directions. In this way, European Union may lose its role as a credible mediator between the Israel as well as Palestine, a neutral voice in West Asian diplomacy. So overall, we can say that Europeans stand at this moral crossroad, and this region, that is now as Europe जो है, stand at its moral crossroads, torn between the historical guilt, political alliances as well as human rights. But one thing is clear here. Now what is that? The unity of the EU is being tested like never before. And if this bloc cannot agree on how to respond to a conflict involving the nuclear risk here or war crimes allegations and one of its closest strategic allies, so what does that say about its power, its purpose and its future? Will Europe continue to speak in fragmented whispers while the world burns? Or will it find the courage to take a stand that could define its legacy on the world stage? So this is not just about Israel, Gaza or Iran. This is about whether institutions like European Union still have the moral compass to guide the world in the times of chaos. So let me know in the comment section. Should the EU impose sanctions on Israel or not? Was Israel right under the international law? And third question, has global diplomacy failed us all? So if this video helped you to understand the deeper story, so do not forget to like, share and subscribe our channel Legacy IAS Academy, because the conflict may be regional but the consequences will be global. And trust me, this story is far from over. More shocks, more splits and more silence may be coming, so stay tuned. Thank you so much.